What's going on, everyone? Thanks for tuning back into the channel. I can hardly stand all of the excitement. It's just getting so interesting around here on all the things that are going on in the eschatology world. Since the last time I made a video, Gary Demar has not made just one response, but he has made two responses to the letter that's been sent to him. And first thing, let's take a note here. Let's note the graciousness of Gary Demar. The graciousness. That's the way that a Christian man should act. Much respect to him for that. And then I would like to say and point out here, if you're just, maybe you're not keeping up with this on Facebook, if you don't have some of these people as friends on Facebook, then you can't see some of their stuff. Or if you haven't checked out like Ken Gentry's Post-Millennial Forum, then you may not be up to date on it. But what happened was, I don't know if they thought Gary Demar would back down, but he didn't. He's continuing the conversation, and he's began to press them on some things. And really, I don't know if you call it fired back or took a shot back. I took it as gracious. And, really going back in the way Gary Demar took the letter in his first response video, I think he took that as gracious. But today, Andrew Sandlin has more or less doubled down. Not word for word saying this on his Facebook page, but more or less insinuating that, if you didn't hold to some of those tenets of specifically the Nicene Creed, then you were outside of the faith. And that might have been a mistake. So that might get pressed pretty good. And I think that's kind of accelerated things and blew the doors off of it pretty good. Gary Demar in his second video made some notes about how he has tried to talk to some of these folks, specifically Durbin, and some of those things to have a conversation. He noted how Doug Wilson reached out to him and how it was a cordial conversation, but that he didn't take the advice that Doug gave him, whatever that might have been. So this is the antithesis getting pushed forward, and I think this is good for the church. Let's say this. Let's say the conclusions that Demar and full preterism come up with, let's say they're wrong. Great. The church has defeated another thing. Let's say they're right. We've continued the conversation that's going forward. But here's the crux of the whole argument. What is our final authority? Is it the Bible? Is it the Word of God? Is it something else? And here's really how you're going to get to the delve to the bottom of that question. And I've had this interaction with several folks in different forums and on Facebook. But here's the question. Can we hold a creed or a confession if we cannot prove it exegetically? Can we hold a creed or confession if we cannot prove it exegetically? Let's say I can disagree with all the proof texts or some of the proof texts that are in the creed as to how they came up to this conclusion. Because think about it. If you've got a confession that has proof text, creeds don't. If you've got a confession that has a proof text, then doesn't it make sense that the exegetical work is the way in which you came up with the confession? So my exegesis leads to the confession, therefore we have the proof text. So then wouldn't it make logical sense if I disagree with the proof text and I do something different with the proof text, then I should come to a logical difference as the result of the confession. So if my exegesis doesn't lead to the confession, why are we starting with the confession and forcing exegetical work back into it, even when the majority of our exegetical work already disagrees with the confession? So that's the first question I have. Does exegesis determine the confession? And if you have different exegesis than the proof text to the confession, then how do you square that circle? Then the second question, or another question I would ask, would be this. If you disagree with the confession, and I think that many people would probably say, we don't hold to this. We don't hold to this confession. Or if we do hold to it, there are certain tenets that we disagree with. So, take the 1689. We've never, in my friend circle, we haven't been hardcore 1689 because we don't do the same thing with the Sabbath that they do. And that's over one issue. So we're like, we don't feel comfortable with the 1689 because we don't like what they do with the Sabbath. Well, who gets to determine then if it's okay to say, I hold this confession, but I disagree with this, and this, which are major exegetical points when you start putting resurrection in the past? Who gets to determine where you're allowed to disagree with the confession or the creed? Who's the judge of that? Who says, all right, well, I can disagree with the confession here, but you're not allowed to disagree with it here? Those are the issues. And here's the question. Okay, what's the final authority? Is the confession the final authority? Our side, Gary Demar's side, screaming, no. The exegesis and the Bible determines how we dictate the confession. So one thing I've noticed in this is a lot of these guys and some of the signers of the letter, much appreciated, enjoy their work, have learned from their work, but let's just be honest about one thing. These guys are not used to getting pressed. They haven't been pressed. They haven't been showed all their inconsistencies. It's because they haven't spoke to people who point out their inconsistencies. This is good for the church. Whatever their inconsistencies are, the partial preterists, and whatever the inconsistencies are and the textual tension of the full preterists can be solved. It can be delved out. Now, are we going to understand everything in accordance to, just every single bit of it? That's not what I'm saying. But there can be some harmonization of some things, but there's going to have to be a discussion. People aren't willing to have a discussion. They're not. I've asked Kaiser questions. He doesn't have, and he's not obligated to respond to me, just like Gary Demar's not obligated to respond to the letter. I'm a nobody. Philip Kaiser, okay, he's not obligated to respond to me. He doesn't have to, okay, that's fair. Doesn't have to. But when these guys start standing up and screaming heresy, and then when they're asked questions, refuse to answer them, it's not a good look. It's not a good look. We must be able to defend our position from the Scriptures. From the Scriptures. Demar's got another episode and release coming out tomorrow, and I thought it was funny. I saw in one Facebook forum where he stated that because of all the inconsistencies of the people in the letter, and guys, there are tons of inconsistencies. These guys don't agree on 2 Peter 3. They don't agree on the new heavens and the new earth. Let me just give you some examples. Durbin and Wilson think Revelation 21 we're in the new heavens and the new earth. Now, they don't think some of it's fulfilled, and I think inconsistently, but you take other people like Kaiser, Sam Frost, they think that 2 Peter 3, Revelation 21, they think those are future things. So we've got disagreements. Demar said that they need to sit down, Gentry, Wilson, and some of those other guys, Kaiser, they need to sit down and have a debate and see if they can come up to some more consistencies as to what they agree on before they have the conversation. You might have noticed that someone has put up some money for anyone that would be willing to debate Don Preston. That hasn't happened yet. I don't think it will. In one of my exchanges with one of the signers of the letter, I was told that full preterists are like Jehovah's Witnesses. There's no obligation to speak to them or try to refute them biblically. And that was pretty much my encounter with it, because I engaged in biblical arguments that weren't addressed. So I guess that's where you leave it. Are these exciting times? Yeah. Are they strenuous for the people that are in the middle of it? You better believe it. But is it good overall? Is it good to have this discussion? Yeah. We believe in the sovereignty of God, okay? And I think that the people who signed the letter and the people that they're coming against, I think everybody would say, we believe in the sovereignty of God. So can we not stand up with Gamaliel in the book of Acts and say, listen, if you're fighting against it, you're going to be fighting against God. But if it's truly nothing, it'll fizzle out just like everything else. And I think that'll be the truth. And I hope and pray that the church will come to at least some consensus of it, to some kind of understanding as to, man, is this accepted? Is this not accepted? Like, because you're gonna start seeing. And here's what's happening. Whether the conclusions that we come to are correct or not, you guys, by making all of these YouTube videos that people are making, by the way, I hope they keep making them. Please keep making all your YouTube videos. That'll be great. And then things like this letter, what you guys are doing, you're exposing people to the way that we read the New Testament. And once they go back and reread the New Testament, they are never going to read it the same way again. And I really believe that. So make all the videos, send all the letters you want. It'll be great. We'll see whose exegetical work at the end of it lines up and is more biblical. People aren't dumb. People are smart. People are intelligent. People have access to all kinds of things that generations before us never had access to. But now, with the use of technology and all the videos and all of the work that's out there, sermons that are on video and sermons that are in print that can be read, anything you want to get your hands on, you can just about get your hands on it these days, except for the book that Canon Press published, and it came to pass. So you can't get your hands on that one. That's a hard one. Anyway, thanks for watching the channel. Keep updated with it. Demar's next response will come out tomorrow on Friday. It'll be fun to see it. And is there hostility that goes on in this? Yeah, but you know why there's hostility? And I don't mind it from either side a little bit. There's a little bit of hostility because they believe they got the truth, and we believe we got the truth. And if the truth is worth discussing and getting into the mesh of it for, then we better be willing to have the discussion. So thanks for watching. Like and subscribe down below, and we'll see you soon. I got some more timing indicator videos that'll be coming out. One of them's getting worked on right now, and hopefully get it up by the weekend. Take care. God bless you, and